So, hi everybody and welcome back to the C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 99 and in this video I want to talk about something perhaps I confused many people with what I did. I complained about this naming in C++ and I said you must all time use a very descriptive name and don't use short names like X and F functions names like you can see here. But on the web you will see en masse examples like that what you see here. For example, this cppreference.com is a very good place for advanced people, not for beginners. So for beginners, not really. Later, if you are a little bit more advanced, then this one will be a very good site later. And the problem is when you watch the sites, right, or many other programming sites, you will find all time everybody is using short X and then F and short names, very short, like in math, right? We know this in math, they are using also very short names. So, and I complained all time, don't do this in programming. But this site here, this CPP reference, is very popular and they are almost using the things from the papers. Papers means here for the original C++ documentation. I don't have the original one, but I want to show you I have one found here. It's from, this is a very old one actually. You can see here the date. And a paper looked like this one and it's very formal, so it's also not meant for beginners, but of course you can try to understand. Don't go there at start, later after you have the basics, try to this. But when I click here now, not this one, when I click here, anything here with some examples, you will see even in the original papers of C++, they are using little names. So exactly the opposite what I said. I said you should use in programming all time long descriptive function names, and not even they use it. So many get the impression perhaps I talk crap, right? That's it. But the real thing is, careful. What you see here and here and most time here are all time demonstrations for the user. This here is not programming. This is just a explanation try. It's a little code snippet and it has not a real context here. What I mean with real context, this int x, for example, they just want to create here a function. So we can see it is a function when you know the structure here, how it's built. Yes, return type, x is a identifier, I know this. And then yes, we have here two arguments and here the as parameters. But this one is only for demonstration purposes, not as a real programmer. And in web and in the documentation here, the original papers, they use this not for programming examples. They use this little names here for trying to explain the concepts, right? So think about in math, they try it similar to math. This is I and you assign it 1 and then you have something like this, but actually that has nothing to do with programming, right? And the point is, this one is, like I said, this is just a try to make the user understand the concept, what they are trying to show here. This is not a programming example. A programming example is here just turn this one in something meaningful, because there is a very, very simple rule. And if you use this as a beginner and also as a professional, then you are good to go. The simple rule is when you read a variable name or a function name or any name what you find in programming. You read it only one time and that's it. Then this program is really good, which means when I read here void f, I must not know that this one is a function. Yes, I can see it is a function after declaration, but I must know for why you make this function with one reading, right? This is the goal. So if a programmer thinks ahead, he is not concentrating in functions and concepts. Probably he knows that already. He is trying to concentrate on his task. And this is only possible if you have very descriptive names, which means you read it one time, and with perhaps sometimes you have not all time access to all things, but the goal is try to read one time, go on to your task. So for example, if I have something like that, I read it one time. Yes, this is a function, very nice, but what is this function doing here? Right? So when I read it, yes, int x, what is x? Why I make this? So these are the questions which a programmer has to solve behind this. So when he is thinking, so what is x? What is f? What is that? Okay, I can analyze it, but this is waste of time. This is against the rule. Try to read it one time and go on. So, and that's why try not to be confused when I say all time. Don't orient on this examples on the net, because they are examples. They try to show how the concepts, how they try to explain you things, but that is not the use case in programming. That is one of the worst use cases in programming, and that must be clear. For example, here we have here void foo f1. Yes, it's called f1. What is f1? As a programmer, I say, what is that? Yes, it's a function call, but what is doing this function? Right, with f, I have no understanding. That this one is a function call after I learned functions. Yes, it's cool. That's nice. But you can see they are trying only explaining things, not showing how to program things. And you have to understand this as a beginner, not to be confused and use also later in your code something like that. Because I did this one time and I complained never do this, because this is not programming. And the bad thing is programmer use most time copy paste, which means they copy this one and paste it, and we have a problem many times. So that was this video about it. So don't get confused with all these explanations, which looks more like math, because very short names, absolute no clue what it is really doing, but it is explaining the little code snippet. For example, let's watch this one here fast. This little snippet here, it has again a very bad naming. H, I have no clue what this H function is doing. It is a function, yes, that I know because I see the structure here. Yes, I see void has a no return type, or H is the identifier. I know this, we learned this, and this is a function definition, and then this function will do something. But this name gives me no info for what it is. For example, let me copy this one here and let me demonstrate you what I mean all the time. You can, as a programmer, let's compare. I write this function again here down. I write here, instead of void, I say H. Let's see what this function does. You see, now I have to identify and read whole the code here in it to understand what this H does. So H function is doing. So I see this H function is calling another function f with an argument 3. Okay, and this H function is doing what? It is calling another function with 2 arguments and trying to use a default argument and has an error. So then something more descriptive would be something like let's try to convert this in a programmer language. And programmer language means just make here a descriptive name, which is, say, this function tries, let's see, calls a function with argument and then default value. Yes, demonstrates function calls with arguments. So this name is absolutely long, right? And let's go. And let's go. And now I copied this one here. Okay, this one is not perfect, but you will see what I'm going to do. Paste here. So when I read later here, I don't need watch the body here. So which means I don't have to watch this one. When I read just this name, it's finished. I should know what this function is doing. And okay, demonstrates function calls with arguments. Okay, at least function call here. Here is a function declaration. So this information is not even enough here to understand this one. So it's not perfect, but it is still better than H. I have no clue. Here in this case, you have really identified the whole code here. And that is more or less against a programmer thinking. You are just wasting time with encrypting crappy names and wasting your times. And that's why I complain all time about short names. And for demonstration purposes like this one, perfect. But keep in mind, it is really just try to demonstrate and to explain you what it is. This is not programming. This is only how to use this codes in programming. But this one, don't program with these names here. At least this one. All other things are the signature, the structure and whatever. But these names, don't make this. That's fatal in programming, and we have all-time problems. And you see the original papers here, they use also demonstrations. These are demonstrations. This is not programming. They demonstrate how you can use this function, for example, and this pointer here with this new. Okay, we have not talked about pointer and function new. Let's skip this. But you understand what I want to point out. This kind of short K and F and all this little, look here, all these little names here, C and PC and CP, I have no clue what these names are. These are variables, I can see it instantly, but now I have decrypted what they are doing. That's not a programmer way. This is probably a mathematician way. They like something like this one, but as a programmer, forget this. Write very descriptive names. As a programmer, we have one goal. We try to read it one time and go on to our task. We don't want to waste time with encrypting bad namings here. All right, I have complained again too much, but I hope you understand why I'm doing this, because that's very important later. And like I said, there is only one case where you really can use very bad naming, even worse than this one here. And that is the case when you try to make your code unreadable. So if you want your code that nobody can understand it at all, then I would call this one here. Look what I'm going to do now. I will call it something like this one. And this is called make the code unreadable. So this one will nobody understand. And this one will nobody understand. And this one will nobody understand, at least not when they try to read this code here. And the question is, why the hell would anyone do this? Because they try to prevent reverse engineering. There is something you want not that other person read your code and understand it. So this is one case. But they will still understand it because they use assembly and they understand it even if it's so bad with bad naming. So that said, I have complained again, but don't get confused why you see in web, in the original paper, all these short namings. It has nothing to do with math. It has nothing to do with good programming. It is just a way to demonstrate code snippets fast and only in this little context, so little context in this little demonstration place. And they don't care what this function is doing or what the intention is. They want just show you a little concept here, and that's it. And don't use this in programming. Understand how to form, for example, a function, but use a name, because in programming we need names, definitely names, to understand it, and not something like that. So I complained and complained and I complained again in this video, but I hope you understand this. This is very important. If you learned this at start, perfect. If you never learn it, yes, then you are one of these web programmers who will make the life for everybody more complicated. All right. Anyway, with that said, if you have any questions or any complaints like me, write it in the comments, and see you in the next video. Bye and good luck.